living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey, hey, living life is stage. Hey.
It is amazing how much power our thoughts and especially our words have on the trajectory of our life. The big things, the little things, all of it are so much controlled and steered by what we think and what we say. And it's not about what other people think and say as much as it is about what we think and say. And so if you are someone who struggles with negative self-talk and struggles with battling the doubt and fear in your mind, then you have landed on the right video. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Stae and this is Living Life with Stae. To my returning Lifer Tribe members, hey y'all, welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for being here. And since you're here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and becoming a permanent part of this Lifer Tribe. And welcome everyone to our first official Mindset Monday. So yeah, y'all, there is a lot of power in what we think. And I know for me, growing up, I used to put so much emphasis on what other people thought about me or what other people said about me, or even more so, what other people said to me. So I never was a person who was obsessed with other people's opinions of me. However, certain people in my life who I held in high regard or who I felt were more of the leadership people in my life, or the people who knew me maybe better than I knew myself, which that's a phrase that I struggle with a lot, but it's a phrase that I heard a lot. I know you better than you know yourself. People who had had more life experience than me. Their opinions of me and the things that they said to me about me, I used to put so much emphasis on that because I would think, I'm young and I pretty much feel confident in who I am and I know what I want to do and I think things through. However, if these people are telling me that I'm wrong or telling me that the way I think is incorrect, maybe there's something to it because I was mature enough to realize that I didn't have a lot of life experience, if that makes sense. But what I've since learned is it's kind of like when you got it, right? So not that every single decision I ever made was going to be a great decision, but I did learn that I needed to trust myself. And I learned that if I put too much emphasis on what other people thought about me or said to me about me, that eventually it was going to change my opinion of myself, no matter how confident I once was. And I wish I would have learned that a lot earlier in life, because I spent many years questioning and doubting myself in this weird way where it's like I knew I was right, I knew I was good, I knew I was capable, and I knew I was okay, but a part of me still was like, but if this person is saying you're not, then maybe you're just cuckoo. Like, I really struggled in that space for a long time, because when you're hearing a lot of negativity, again, from a certain group of people or even a certain person who you trust, it does kind of make you feel some kind of way, like, okay, is it me? Am I the one who's off here? Because I'm really feeling some kind of way about this, but I'm doubting myself. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but it's just a really odd place to be in. And y'all have to remember, I grew up, born in the 70s, 71, grew up in the 80s. That was before there were such terms as gaslighting. That's before we talked a lot about manipulative personalities and narcissism. So When you're surrounded with people like that back in a time where nobody is talking about things like that, when there's no real name for things like that, the only word I had was normal, right? You think it's normal. And so that's why I wanted to do this new formula for the channel and these different topics on different days, because it's really important to discuss the mindset. And I wanted to make sure that I made room for that every single week, because it all starts with you right here and right here. Whatever you know in your mind and whatever you feel in your heart, that is what should be your guiding force. Now, it is okay to seek wise counsel from time to time, but you have to be really careful about who you consider wise counsel. Age does not necessarily make someone wise counsel, unfortunately. Their familial relationship with you does not necessarily make them wise counsel. So you have to be careful. Sometimes you can seek wise counsel from someone that you don't even really have a personal relationship with, but whatever it is that you are looking for the advice for, you know that they're an expert, a subject matter expert, and you can trust that. Because when you base too much of what you do on the thoughts and opinions of other people, it totally destroys your mindset. And so once I learned that I could trust myself, it was a complete game changer for me. I worked really hard on blocking out the noise. I worked really hard on setting my boundaries and not allowing unsolicited advice and opinions to penetrate my mind. I worked really hard on rephrasing the way I talk to myself and not questioning myself so much. Instead of saying, well, why would they say this? I started saying, who cares what they're saying, right? And instead of me saying, well, maybe I shouldn't do this, I started saying, there's no reason why I shouldn't do this. And so I had to be intentional about that. I had to learn how to combat my own thoughts, because I use this analogy all the time because it's something I'm very familiar with and something I'm dealing with now with my retainers in. This is my third or fourth time having braces. And the reason why I've had to get braces so many times is because every time I got my braces, I was never consistent on wearing my retainer, which meant that my teeth, even though I was not pleased with the way they look naturally, they were where they were supposed to be as far as how they grew. So no matter what I did as far as braces to get them straight, if I do not constantly wear a retainer, what's going to happen is my teeth are eventually going to start moving back to where they are most comfortable. And it's the same when you're trying to change your mindset. So I had to start learning how to combat my own thoughts, because for so many years I allowed what other people said to affect me in such a way that my thoughts were those of question, those of insecurity, because I was letting that penetrate. So I had to be intentional and put on my mindset retainer that every time a negative thought came in my mind, every time I started to overthink what someone else said or someone else's opinion, I had to combat that with, yes, you can. There's no reason why you couldn't. You are capable. Block out the noise. What they say and think doesn't matter. Stay focused. I had to be intentional. Like, these were exercises that I did repeatedly, because that noise, that negativity, that chatter had completely destroyed my mindset. I used to call myself a realist all the time in order to kind of, I guess, disguise my pessimistic way of thinking. And I had convinced myself that if something could go wrong, it would go wrong. Things will go well and 10 people will try this one thing, but as soon as I try it, it's not going to work. And I considered that being a realist. I would say, well, you know, it's not going to work for everybody, so I'm just keeping it real. It probably won't work for me. Or I would say, you know, the things that you see on the news, those bad stories you hear, those are real people. So I just keep it real. That could happen to me. And I didn't realize how much negativity I was inviting into my life because I was subconsciously training myself to accept negativity, to accept disappointment, and was really inviting it into my life. I was preparing so hard for the bad things to happen that I didn't realize not only am I preparing for it, I'm inviting it. And when I first got introduced to the power of my thoughts and the power of what I spoke, it sounded crazy to me because, again, I'm a realist, right? So I'm like, what kind of hocus pocus stuff is that you just have to speak it? But what I realized after studying and paying more attention, that it's not at all that. It's not the hocus pocus of it. It's not a magic wand. It's not like the twitching of your nose like on Bewitched, but it's just the energy that you are inviting, the mindset that you have, the expectations that you're creating is just going to be what you attract. And so I realized that, okay, no, not by saying this am I necessarily making this happen, but I'm preparing so hard for it that my energy is in such a space where I'm not even making room for something to go well, because I'm already expecting the worst and I'm preparing for the worst. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have backup plans. I'm not saying to live in this la-la land where everything is always going to go right. But what I will say is when you constantly stay in a positive mindset and you start inviting more positivity in your life, because really what you're doing is you're just creating this confidence. You're creating this energy that is what facilitates positive things. And so you have to make sure that you're staying on top of that, because when you're creating the negative energy, then those are just the things that happen because you're not preparing yourself for the positivity. But when you're always prepared for the positivity, when something bad happens, because sometimes things do happen, you're in such a positive mind space that you don't let it defeat you. That is when your failures, as people like to call them, actually turn into what they should always be, and that's lessons. That's when you learn how to fail forward. That's when you realize that it's not the end of the day just because you didn't get one contract or you didn't get one job. You realize there was something to learn from it. You grow from it. And so that's what the positive mindset does. It just creates a space of learning. It creates a space of opportunity. It creates a space of resilience where you're always ready to bounce back because you don't get into that woe is me mindset. You don't get into that it doesn't happen for people like me mindset. So I want you to realize that mindset, manifestation, which we'll talk about in a later video, affirmations, all those kind of things, it's not the Jedi mind trick that some of you may think, because I know my audience is mainly going to be the women 40 plus. And so a lot of us grew up in a time, us Gen Xers especially, where we're just kind of like, it is what it is. And if it don't make sense, I'm not doing it. And we shy away from things like affirmations and manifestations because we're tough. And what do you mean positive self-talk? And what do you mean? But trust me, it works. Give it a shot. Step out of your comfort zone, because if you are someone who is like me, a realist that's really a pessimist in disguise, this new way of thinking will help you. It will help you to have happier days. It will help you to have less disappointments. It will help you to block out the noise. It will help you to be able to prune through the people in your life and see who is really there for you and who's just there. It will help you to really see who is pouring into your life rather than who is draining you and depleting you. Because when you accept bad and negative and you attract that type of energy, all that stuff that you tolerate just seems normal. You don't realize, I deserve more than this. It is no badge of honor for me to continue entertaining relationships with people who drain every ounce of positive energy that I have. So I want you to be more conscious of your thoughts this week. I want you to be more conscious of the conversations you have with yourself, because whether you admit it or not, we all talk to ourselves, whether it's out loud or in our minds. I want you to be more conscious of who you allow access to you and who you allow to penetrate your thoughts. And every single time you have a negative thought or you allow someone to say something negative to you, work on combating that with a positive thought. Start disciplining yourself. Start calling yourself out like, nope, we're not thinking like that anymore. No, we're not accepting that anymore. Start speaking positivity into your energy. Play your favorite song when you start getting into those negative headspaces. Cut those conversations off short when somebody starts talking about something that doesn't make you feel good, that's not pouring into you, that's not aligning with the new you that you're trying to be. And know that this is not going to happen overnight, but don't give up just because it's a week or so and you feel drained. Like, all I feel like I'm doing is thinking. I'm thinking this and then I'm trying to combat it with another thought. Don't give up, because it's just like anything else. It's going to take time. It's going to take it becoming a habit. It's going to take it becoming a second nature for it to become comfortable. Because remember, it's just like the retainers and the braces on the teeth. You are automatically going to want to go back to your old way of thinking. You are automatically going to go back to the old way of being, because no matter how much you don't like it, no matter how much it didn't serve you, you've done it for decades, so it becomes comfortable. It becomes normal. And so a lot of times it just becomes easy. But don't be lazy on yourself. Do the hard work. Do the repetitive actions. Practice the positive self-talk, because it is going to be such a huge weight off your shoulders. You are going to see a brand new you and a brand new world. And the few weeks that it takes to train your mind to do this are going to be so worth it in the end. So this was an awesome Mindset Monday. I wanted to make this one kind of like an introductory of what we're going to be talking about. I hope something that I said today sparked a thought and some energy in some of you. And I'll be curious to know in the comments below some of the things that trigger you into negativity and how you're going to use the new way of thinking and the positive mindset to kind of combat all of that. So for those of you who are new to the channel, once again, if you have not already subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if anyone is interested in one-on-one coaching with me, please go to www.staehall.com and let's get a complimentary consultation on the books. And you all know the drill. I love and appreciate each and every one of you to bits and pieces. Always be kind and love one another, but don't forget to live your life. LYFE. Love yourself first explicitly. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.
Living like a Stae. Hey, hey. 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 Love yourself first, explicitly. You owe it to yourself to move with that energy. Empower your self-esteem. Self-love is king. That's the only way to win. That's how you empower your dream. Living like a Stae. Hey.